So, Matt, I mean, I could open this podcast with some sort of derogatory joke about you being into furries or thinking the earth is flat, the usual thing. But I gotta say, my mind is in a weird place right now.
I had a feeling it would be.
All I want to do is tell you about our Lord and Savior, Chris Roberts.
I know.
Have you heard about him?
I have heard about him, and I can't wait to hear more.
So this weekend, for me, I spent more than 12 hours because I had to intro and outro a stream, but there was 12 hours of Star Citizen fan con coverage of just like media information galore. It was exciting and exhausting and just like so crazy for the franchise. And I know I'm like the crazy dude sipping the Kool-Aid, huffing my hopium and copium, but it was a big moment. It was a big moment for Star Citizen fans, man. And I know people are like, oh, not more Star Citizen. Please level. Here's the thing. If you don't hear it from me, you're about to hear it from just whatever media sources you follow, because what they showed off this weekend was big enough to hit like the mainstream news pages. You might have seen it.
I did because I was watching you. I went back on your VODs and I wasn't able to watch all of it because I'm sorry, I'm not putting 12 hours into Star Citizen. But I did.
You weren't there for all 12 hours, Matt?
I wasn't there for all 12 hours. I'm sorry. I'm not a true fan. But I did watch a fair amount. And you're right. They're like, well, what they showed off was incredible. And I'm loving what I'm seeing. But I'm going to have to ask you, and we're probably going to discuss all this. When are all these things actually going to be coming out?
Soon. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's the big sticking point.
Hear me out, because nobody's been hurt more by CIG than me. And and the other like 4 million people who have, signed up for game packages. Where did they hurt you? Where's the wallet on the doll? That's where I'm going to point to.
Pretty much.
They hurt my wallet. They took so much from me. No. So the end of the month is when we get Pyro on a test server.
Now, for all those that are unaware, Pyro is
the second system for Star Citizen.
Which is huge.
Yeah. It is actually physically huge compared to the current system. Apparently, there's a lot more locations there, or at least maybe mission locations. People were playing it on the convention floor over the weekend, and
so it's playable.
Yep, it's playable. There isn't going to be transitions between Stanton and Pyro yet. That's still kind of like coming soon, to be determined. But yeah, so that's the first little bit of content that we're getting. Then we'll get a little more, and then a little more, then a little more. The big ticket news thing that I think all the big websites are going to be covering is Squadron 42. So
as they should.
Yeah. It's the single player version of the game, and it's been in development forever. We saw a very competent vertical slice of it back in 2017, and people were like, oh, the game's like a year away from releasing. No.
Nope.
No.
Well, didn't they redid it, didn't they? They didn't scrap it entirely, but they basically redid it.
They didn't redo it. Their ambitions for the game were so insane that they just kept going and going and going. And by the time they got to a place where they're like, we actually have all the levels and all this stuff complete, well, the graphics were kind of out of date. So they just updated all the visuals. And now the before and after comparisons are kind of
bonkers.
They're crazy. You're like, oh, I'm glad they didn't ship it in 2018 or whenever they might have been closer, because then we would have had a neat game back then. But now it's like stunning visually. Yeah. What did you think of the visuals? What did you think of this?
The visuals were incredible. The visuals were amazing. I was more of just taking issue with the fact that, it still may not be very good when it releases. Like, all this effort could result in a stunning looking game that doesn't actually deliver on the promises that they've been making over the last decade. So
I will say that is my main concern, because that's the one thing you can't tell from a trailer is gameplay, right? You're like, that kind of looks neat, but I didn't see any gameplay that looked monumentally fantastic. There was some cool puzzle solving stuff in there that I was like, oh, that's neat. They're like filling up a fuel canister with the right amount of fuel, and then you'll need that to like solve some sort of physics puzzle, in a level to like, and physics puzzle stuff, that's fun. I like that kind of stuff, but it's not particularly like next level stuff. The FPS combat looked competent, but they didn't show anything crazy with it. There's some cool destruction in there, but it was still kind of, here's an SMG, here's a guy shooting at you with an assault rifle.
Had they announced and shown off destruction before this?
No, that was all new.
I gotta say, when I saw destruction on the first day, my initial impressions were, why? Why do you gotta stop?
I had a little bit of that as well. In this game. I was feeling that too.
Then I saw it in the first person mode and I was like, oh, that's where you actually going to be using it, where you can take out players' covers and stuff like that. Okay, now I'm getting it. But on like a large grand scale, we were taking out like buildings and stuff like that. Is like that going to be? So we'll see.
That's the big question. And I think they very much were vague about how it's going to be utilized, because that initial trailer that they showed off all the engine tech and what you could do with it almost seemed like a trailer to market the engine itself versus saying this is what's going to be definitely in the game. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because persistence is in the game right now. So everybody's like, well, if you break a building and then somebody comes by.
Is it just broken forever?
Yeah,
like that would suck.
Yeah. So the way they handle NPCs right now with persistence is that once all players leave an area, they will be streamed out, and then when somebody comes back in, they'll stream in new NPCs for them, and they'll be alive, and the dead bodies will be gone. So they get a nice reset. So maybe you could handle destruction in a similar way to that, and
it could just be for the single player.
Yes, it might just be single player, but it would be cool if like you could crash land in a forest and take out all the trees, as you're coming down or something.
Well, it'd also be really cool is if you had base building, which is what another thing I'm sure we're going to be talking about, because they've announced the development of that. And then that becomes incorporated where you have your shields to protect your base. But if your base, those go down, then they start taking out your base and literally taking it out where it's starting to like fall apart and holes are opened up.
What was nice about so base building hasn't even started really production yet. They fleshed out
they say quarter one of 2024 is when they're going to start production.
So they're going to start it in like, couple months or whatever. Right. But
okay.
Here's what was nice about this, because everybody, since they concepted base building, which was, I think, 2013, 2014, long time ago. Yeah. Everybody went, how is base building going to work? It might have not been that long. It might have been 2015. I don't know when it was. Don't quote me on that. But it's really been a while. So long that I'm, I could be 3 years off with my estimate. Yeah. I have no idea. We just didn't know how it was going to work. They say you can put bases down on planets. Cool. This is a giant MMO. How does all of that stuff work? Well, they actually listed it out this time. They said in high security areas, which would probably be Stanton, the current system, your base will be invulnerable to enemy players. And if enemy players try and shoot it, the cops will show up and take them out regardless. Even though they can't kill it.
Even though they can't do anything.
We'll send the police in just to punish them for trying to do it, trying to harass you. You go to a medium security area, and I imagine there's going to be variability within what's medium, like medium high, medium low. Then they will send the police out to try and back up your base, but that security might be based on how wealthy that system is or how good the security is on the planet that you bought the stake on. And they might not be able to stop the player from taking out your base. So you will get NPC assistance, but it's not a guarantee that it'll save the base for you. The benefit of building there is there's less taxes and less operational costs to pay in those systems. So the potential for profit is higher, right?
The tax man. Okay.
Then you have zero security systems. Systems where if you go into it, it's like there's no scanning. Yeah. There's nobody's policing. You kill somebody there, you come back, nobody knows about it. It's the Vegas of Star Citizen, right?
Right.
And so you go out there, you can build anywhere you want. You no longer have to buy a land claim, which is what you will have to do in any other policed system. So you're like, oh, that planet looks cool. Let's just start building a base right here. Very cool. If somebody finds that base, though, they're free to take it out, assuming you don't have shields and turrets that will defend it. But even so, those will probably only hold up for so long against a decently sized force before you have to log back in and actually try and stop them. So that's going to be more for orgs, right? People who can have players on 24 hours a day, kind of operating in a system.
And I would imagine that these would probably be closer to places that maybe can mine valuable resources because they're, on the outer edges, and that's where the resource, like the nice loot is, but you're also risking it because you're leaving yourself vulnerable potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole idea of it is incredible, right? You're building up a base.
It's the end game. It's what people are going to play toward. Yeah.
Yeah. You start off with like a little ship. You're going around, you're doing some odd jobs, you make some money, you get a bigger ship. Then you use that bigger ship, excuse my phone's going off. That bigger ship then allows you to maybe get more resources so you can start to build a small little settlement. Then you're like, oh, I'd like to branch off and then I make a bigger settlement with maybe some friends. Like that whole, and then it's yours. Like you're building up your own little.
It's yours in a multiplayer universe, right?
Yeah.
Rust does stuff like that, but the servers aren't massive. There's not like 1,000 people that could come by and look at your base in Rust.
Right.
That's how it's supposed to be in Star Citizen. There could be thousands of people that come to your Matimi0's trading post, right? Matimi0's milk farm in Star Citizen. There's cows with udders in the game. We saw it at CitizenCon, okay? I'm just saying you could be a cow farmer. This has nothing to do with anything else, Matt. I'm just random example. Okay.
Just spur of the moment. Okay.
Spur of the moment, random example. Everybody goes, hey, who's got the best milk in Star Citizen?
No.
Matimi0's got the best milk in Star Citizen.
No.
Let's go get some of that Matimi0.
Let it die.
I hope I can.
That's cool, though.
I hope I can incorporate something like that in the game. That'll be great. But yeah, so it sounds cool. They want it to be more hands-on. So if you compare it to like Starfield, which I think is a great comparison because the actual connections of the bases and the modules looked very similar to Starfield.
Starfield just had no reason to build it though.
Yeah, because you're just kind of single player and you're like, I guess I could craft a whole bunch of things to upgrade my gear, but I don't really need to.
It was crafting for the sake of crafting.
Yeah, you didn't really need the higher level gear to do anything in the game, right? You're like,
it wasn't even that. Like if you built a base, like it gave you more options to build more like a bigger base, but the base didn't really do anything for you. Like it was I mean, it was kind of an outpost. Like I guess technically it allowed you, if you had a refueling station there, it would allow you to jump to different star systems that were further away, but that was it. That was literally about it. So I would hope that in Star Citizen, there's going to be much more important because it's going to be yours and it's going to be, it's we're going to store all of your loot. And if someone comes on in and destroys everything, then that's very, very bad.
Yeah. It does look, I mean, there's so many unknowns about how it's going to work. Ultimately, they've laid out a plan, but the amount of things that can and almost certainly will go wrong with that plan are going to be very much in line with the entire rest of Star Citizen's development, which is like, they're like, here's an idea. It's like we were talking about last week, I think, with the tickets that you could find in game that would give you a free super rare spaceship, right? With a custom skin that nobody else could get. Everybody on the server was hunting for them. The players that got them would finally get back to a safe space, quote unquote, and then get land, rammed. And somebody just rammed their ship and blow them up. And it's like, well, they intended for that to be a safe place, but they didn't think about the ways that players would break that system, right? So how are players going to break base building? Probably in 1,000 different ways, but it is very exciting, and
it's incredibly exciting.
Chris said a dumb thing. He said a Chris thing, which was, I intend for all the things that you've seen in this whole CitizenCon presentation to be in the game and playable in the next 12 months. Which everybody was like, bullshit.
You just said, you just said that it's going to be, it's going to start development. The fact, okay. The fact that this game has been developed over a decade now, right?
11,
has it hit a decade?
Yeah.
11 years?
The Kickstarter was October 2012. So like 11 years
they
now.
Haven't even started full production of one of their big systems, which is base building. They're literally announcing they're going to be which in of itself could be like its own game, right?
Yeah, it will be, really.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All the professions are designed to be extremely deep, and we've only got like tier 1 of most professions. So like mining, you can go out and crack a rock, but they want you to be able to go in a giant spaceship and like eat asteroids and stuff like that.
Which is awesome, but like, where is it?
Yeah. No, fair enough. I mean, well, some of it's going to be here at the end of the month, according to them. So, I mean, we can at least hold them to that.
I look forward to it. I do look forward to it.
That's some of it. I don't think we're going to see base building next year. Chris did say that with a huge caveat of like, I would like it to be out in the next 12 months. I think some of where he's coming from is that Squadron 42 is literally in the polish phase. Yeah. So they're polishing the game. They're not still building giant things that they need and being like, what should we do in this part of the level? It's like, let's fix the bugs. Let's optimize the game. Let's make everything look pretty.
Yeah.
Because they're in that phase, a lot of the programmers and content creators and stuff, they're free to go elsewhere.
I heard there's like 80% of their dev team is worked on the Squadron 42, and that's like all their focus for the last couple of years, and that's why the persistent universe has been so slow with updates. Yeah,
and they have 1,300 employees right now, so
which is a lot.
If even a percentage of that 80%, say if they got half of those people, right? Half of those people didn't need to keep doing all that stuff on Squadron 42 because it's in the polish phase. If they come over to the persistent universe, then progress could move extremely fast, because we're used to talking about deadlines in the persistent universe based on how they've been doing it with like the 20 or 30% of the production force working on it, which is like much slower. Now, if they get a huge injection, that could speed up really fast, and maybe we do see all of those features in the next 12 months, but everybody's just very... Exactly. I don't think we're going to, and everybody who's been around for long enough will tell you, I mean, even if you're around since last CitizenCon, they promised all of these features, many of which, I would say probably most of which, are still not in the game. They said they were going to be in the game by now. So if you just go back 1 year, you're like, okay, they said they wanted to be in the game, and we still
a lot of promises not usually delivered.
That said, everything they showed looked fantastic.
It did. It made me excited. I'm like, God damn it, if they can pull this off, it's so cool looking.
Mm-hmm. I've never gotten excited for hair tech before, but they made me excited for hair tech. I was like, oh my gosh. They had ridiculous stuff. They had where if you dye your hair, it'll like, you can choose the length at which, like how long ago you dyed it, so the roots are growing at. It's just like ridiculous stuff that you're like, I don't know.
So like, why do they put so much dev time into this? Like, oh my God.
There was an extremely long panel on hair tech. It was like 20 minutes or something.
Which is cool, but why is like, whatever.
Yeah. It's cool when you watch it.
It's so bloated. It's ridiculous, but it's cool, I guess. So, neat.
Neato. Yeah. There was, it is 12 hours worth of info. Too much stuff to talk about, I feel. But I think we covered the basics, which was, we didn't cover the basics. The one last thing we need to talk about is server meshing. Don't know. Did you see that?
Yep.
What did you think?
Incredible. It was ridiculous. The fact that you can transfer between... So server meshing, to my understanding, is basically you've got a room and it could have 3 different servers that you're passing through at any given moment. So let's say it's like an L. So the left and the right are one server and the middle is another server. And you can literally pass from one server over the other and interact with objects on the other side of the room, which are in another server. And it all works, and the physics
seamless, right? There's no latency between it
that we know of, but yes,
yeah, and it looks insane. It does. This tech is not just Star Citizen tech. It's the tech that will make Star Citizen work at scale. But you could apply this to any large scale game. You take World of Warcraft, get rid of all the loading scenes in World of Warcraft. Get way more players and way less lag in bigger areas. See, when you're raiding a city, you could potentially see all the players raiding that city. It wouldn't have to like phase out people and put them in different instances of things, or even have instances for stuff in the game. It's really, really crazy. Take PlanetSide, you could break up a single map in PlanetSide to multiple servers, get better latency, get better fidelity with all of the combat, support more players. It can be applied to any game that you want to do at scale, at large scale. This tech is the holy grail tech for those types of games, and it was
looks
cool
like they're
to
pulling
see.
it off.
I know, right?
We only saw it on a small scale.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump to conclusions and be like, it's ready, it's here, we're on the cusp. But we might be on the cusp. So can they take that small example and scale it up to hundreds of people in an area or whatever on a larger platform? And it really could be the future for sure, 100%. That was the most exciting thing that came out of that for me personally.
I agree as well, because it's got implications much further beyond just Star Citizen, right? They're like, we proved that this could be done, because it was all theory up until that moment, and everybody was banking on that theory to work, right? They're like, in theory, we can do this, and if it doesn't, then what happens to Star Citizen?
We're kind of screwed.
Yeah. So it was a huge moment for Star Citizen players, because they're like, oh, thank God, like this isn't all for nothing,
Yeah. Big relief.
We did have a dev or two in chat come in and say that this has already been tested at scale and that it works at scale, and that what we were seeing is actually not entirely just static server meshing, which is supposed to be the first phase of this operation. It's partially dynamic server meshing, but they didn't quite explain how that works. But dynamic server meshing is the end goal of all this tech, where the servers can scale and take up different regions as they need to. So if, say, everybody leaves...
That is so wild.
Yeah. Say your org is mining on Moon Matimi0, right? And there's 100 people there, and the game decides to dedicate a whole server just to your moon. And then you guys leave the moon. Well, it goes, well, I don't need to waste resources just running a moon with nobody on it. I can now take on another moon. Like, I'll still run that moon, but it's not taking up any resources to run the moon. So I'll just add another moon. I'll bring in stuff and scale dynamically as needed. So they're using their servers really efficiently, right? They're not eating up thousands and thousands of dollars in unnecessary server cost. And so that's like the holy grail. And apparently some of that tech was running, but all of this stuff is giant egghead. It's big brain stuff. I don't understand it. They could sit there for like 3 hours.
The idea
like,
that you can fire a round that's on one server and it goes into the next room, which is another server, and the other server's like, hey, that's a round, and it will just fly towards the target and then interact with that target. And then you see in the other server the target get hit and move and react is it's insane. Like, it is actually incredible.
And I think for people listening now too, because you saw the presentation, you saw what was happening, but for anybody in there, you would not see the server line. You would not see a threshold. You don't see the threshold. They only turned on the bounding box lines so that they could demonstrate it. But otherwise, there's nothing to indicate that you were fighting with somebody in another server, and you would never know. There wouldn't be any sort of indicator.
Well, that's the hope,
there.
Right? Is that it's completely consistent, and a lot of times, like, let's be real, you're not going to be fighting along the line of a server. It's just so that you can, because for like you said, it'll be an entire moon is the server, right? And so if they need to scale it down further than that, they can, but it's going to allow it so that you can have 100 people and just the one server is trying to just do it in that one region. And then other people that are around that moon are on a different server. So the passing through probably won't be as obvious as that, but it is possible. So God, it
is possible. Yeah. Cause the whole idea was like, well, what if I have my gigantic spaceship and me and 50 of my friends are on it? Okay, well, you get like a whole server or half a server that's going to be dynamically dedicated to your ship. And then, okay, what if I land on a planet? Well, the server's still controlling your ship, but everything outside of the ship is a different server.
It's so ridiculous that they can do that.
My brain starts to hurt just thinking about it, because I go, somebody had to make this, like those poor people, you know? But those guys are like, you look at them and you're like, man, that dude's brain is like, he's on a level that I'm not even aware of, you know?
Yep.
I'm like looking at birds and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, pretty bird. And he's like, you peasant, you know?
You peasant. You don't know what I've been through.
Yeah. But that was the big, Squadron 42 was the big consumer thing, but the server meshing was like, this is the future of potentially all gaming. Like, here it is, guys. Here it is working.
Yeah.
That was exciting, man.
It was awesome.
I'm still on a high from it, man. I
can tell.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like the presentations were phenomenal. And I know it's a lot of copium, and I'm not on the train as much as you, but like I'm on the station, right? Like I'm kind of waiting to get picked up because I want to get on that train. The game, if they can deliver on everything they're showing, it could truly be a next gen experience.
Yeah. Jason in chat says, Bone, there was an elderly developer in one of the presentations that was just, they had to keep yelling at him to like do stuff, and it was very funny. And his name, his handle was Bone. So they kept being like, Bone, open the thing. Okay, go over here now, Bone, go to the thing. And like, it's just become like this meme now where you're like, Bone, turn off he had his flashlight on and you couldn't see the map properly. And you're like, Bone, turn off your flashlight.
Turn off the flashlight.
There's lots of good memes that came out of the event for sure. Ah, man. So I hear you've been playing some SpiderMan, maybe?
Yes. I beat it last night. Bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is one of the best Superman or superhero.
Yes.
I'm getting flustered. It was so good. It was one of the best superhero games I have ever played ever. It was incredible.
Really?
Yeah. I loved everything about it. The story was engaging. You know, it's not going to like knock your socks off, you know, with the story, but there was, you know, really great heartfelt moments. It was wholesome. There was, you know, some sad parts here and there. Characters were well realized. Everything felt really natural. The way they wove in and got different villains to be introduced and the way everything was connected was really well done. And then the set pieces. Dude, I can't even express to you how epic some of these fights were. And the way that it goes from gameplay to like cinematic to gameplay again is all seamless. If Baldur's Gate 3 didn't exist this year, it would be my game of the year.
Wow, dude.
Yeah. I loved the game. And that's high praise because like Armored Core came out this year. Like there were some banger titles.
I haven't seen you this hyped up about a game. Like you were very excited about Baldur's Gate, but
it's probably because I just played it and like, man, dude, the fight scenes were just incredible.
Wow.
I loved it. Yeah.
How's it? So like compared to the previous Spider-Man game. So
it's very similar. So that's one minor critique I guess I could make is that the combat is similar and there's a lot of the similar moves that you're going to be pulling off. Like in the first game, you have like an uppercut and then you can go from uppercut, you launch them in the air and then you can join them in the air, punch them around, slam them down. All those moves we saw in the first game. So there is some treading over the same ground, which was a little unfortunate, but it's like how many, I get it.
It's too much like this other fantastic game. You know?
Right. But they did incorporate a lot more. So it's a lot more ability based this time. Okay. You have like 4 different abilities. So you've got like 2 wheels. You've got your abilities and then you have your gadgets and you need to weave and use those to come out on top. I was playing on the hardest difficulty that is available at New Game. New Game Plus adds in, or what if they do I think there will be a New Game Plus. That will add in a higher difficulty. So if you want to do it over again. Yeah. And it was challenging at some points, but it really wasn't that bad. You pretty much just had to learn the fights. And this isn't like a Dark Souls, right? Like you're not going to be slamming your face against the wall, trying to figure out some move sets. Once you understand their moves, you're pretty good.
Okay. It wasn't as hardcore with the timing and stuff or
no. And if you want to lower the difficulty, you can. Like
you're not stuck to like hard.
Yeah.
No. I like that a lot of games are doing that now where they're like play on the difficulty you want and just switch.
This is SpiderMan.
Switch whenever you want. Yeah.
it's meant to be played by everyone, and apparently it is, because it sold. This is their fastest selling PlayStation game at 2.5 million copies already.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fastest selling PlayStation game?
I thought that was what I saw on Twitter, but I could be wrong.
That's pretty incredible, because I think it's like got that kind of perfect balance of everybody kind of wants to play it, right? Like,
yeah, it's Spider-Man.
If you like Call of Duty, you probably also like Spider-Man. If you like Minecraft, you probably also like Spider-Man. Like, too many people. Is it a PlayStation 4 exclusive? Or
PlayStation
PS5?
5.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. I
PS4,
think people are trying to play it on PS4, and their PS4s are like exploding.
I misspoke. I think I saw a video of somebody's PS4 on fire. I don't know if it was a joke.
It could have been a joke.
Yeah. I was like, did Spider-Man just catch that guy's PS4 on fire?
I sure hope not.
Yeah.
One thing I really liked, and this was true with the first game too, is that one thing is I noticed, like, when I play a Ubisoft open world game, the open world is like everything. Like you go to a location, and that location is like just part of the world, and that's fine. But what I loved about this is that there's so many cutscenes, and there's so many like unique areas that you cannot get to in the actual open world, that it makes it feel more believable, and it makes it feel more grounded. And I'm not articulating myself very well.
Wait, so you can't get to them in the open world? Is that what you're saying?
Right. So like you'll go inside the buildings, basically. I don't know, because Ubisoft game, I just got done playing Assassin's Creed, and I enjoyed it, but it, like, I don't know, it felt just kind of like, oh, you just reached a new part of the game. And in this, it felt a little more like immersive. I'm not doing a good job of
it felt more natural how you progressed to new areas.
Yeah.
And you didn't see like the obvious game barriers being like, I can't enter building X until I complete mission Y, and there's nothing I can do to change that or something.
Well, not necessarily that. It was just the fact that when you like in a Ubisoft game, you come across a fortress and you're like, okay, there's a fortress, and there's just a bunch of guards standing around, and I don't know. It feels very gamey to me.
Yeah, like, you're like, why are these guys patrolling over here? Nothing's happening.
This is a level. Yeah. This is a level, but there's an open world around it to make it seem like they're not just levels. And I don't know. I think I just like the more handcrafted single player missions that you come across that are more linear. But I really liked it. I felt like it fleshed out the world more.
Sounds like they had a great art direction for it.
Oh, they did. Yeah, it was gorgeous. There was some graphical stuff. And this is one thing a lot of people, I don't know if you noticed this. There's a lot of people on like Twitter and online who are trying to dunk on Spider-Man and calling it like a 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10 because of like graphical bugs and glitches. I did crash twice. So I did have 2 crashes, but the SSD is so blazing fast that I was back in the game within like 10 seconds. So it really wasn't that big of a deal. And while there are a couple of problems here, maybe with graphics where things don't look as good as they maybe could have been in other games, the game is fantastic. There's a picture going online of this person who was taking photos trying to showcase the differences between the first game and this one. And one of them was that the trash in a trash can, was circular in the first game, and in this one it's got like a little bit like some jaggities to it, right? It's like, is this really what we're complaining about? You know what you should do with Spider-Man 2? Just throw it in that trash can now, because those trash graphics are just trash, man. Like, are you kidding me? Like, who's going up to the trash cans? Like, that is very funny. Yeah, because as if anybody has even paid any attention to the trash inside the trash can. Yeah. And you know what? Like, maybe that trash was better optimized in the second one. Maybe the first game, they're like, whoa, we made our trash way too high poly. It's sucking performance out of the game. That's why it's not running as smoothly. We just lower the trash geometry, it'll run better. And then people are like, oh, trash, man. Nowhere near as good. And then you had people complaining that you couldn't go on the subway or eat like a hot dog. I'm like, this isn't Grand Theft Auto, right? Like, this is Spider-Man. You're supposed to like fly around the city. Every game doesn't need to be this grand, expansive. I think they're just complaining for the internet attention, right? Because
why else would you complain about a fantastic game?
See, the thing is that I don't want to try to diminish people's legitimate critiques, right? If people well, I'm going to say something.
Yeah. Okay.
If people are having legitimate issues with bugs and glitches, then those concerns need to be heard, and that's a problem. If people have problems, with the story, I know some people had problems with the story, they didn't like it, or they just didn't mesh with them, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like if you didn't like the game, your opinion is wrong. Your opinion is your own. Just the same with mine. Yours is no better or less or worse or anything. Okay. That said, the internet has so much rage bait. I cannot tell the difference between a genuine opinion and just someone trying to gain engagement. I can't.
Yeah.
I legitimately can't anymore.
I always assume it's rage bait unless it's actually related to game stopping bugs or major failures from the graphics. Just like what's happening here? They're glitching out or something. But otherwise, it's like, what are you talking about? If the game's like really good, how much are you going to complain about it?
Right.
But it's too much, man. I mean, there's entire YouTube channels and things built around rage baiting people now with like, this game sucks. And so
it's upsetting because I like to have conversations and dialogue, but I also, it's like, I can't decipher if this is legitimate, genuine opinion or not. Like, are you just doing this so you can get more clicks? And I hate that. Everything just feels so fake a lot of times. And I'm fake too. I get it, but.
No, I mean, you're more, you give your honest opinion out there. I mean, you're not sponsored by SpiderMan right now.
No, I'm not.
Say good things about the game. You enjoyed it. You legitimately had fun with it. I can hear it in your voice, it's hard to give good criticism. And even sometimes when you feel like you're giving good criticism, people are like, you're just whining. So the whole culture of feedback, critique, raging, it all gets kind of swirled up together, and then it becomes hard to give feedback. And last week we were talking about sort of the Starfield review world too, where like all the initial reviews were like, it's amazing, 9 out of 10, all this stuff. And it's like, that's sort of the safe route to take initially. And you can get clicks and views if you're like 10 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, Starfield's the best game ever. People are going to click on those articles and read them. And now it's like kind of the new factor has worn off a bit, and you're like, maybe some of these reviewers didn't feel that way, or maybe they wrote the article within the first 10 hours of playing.
Yeah. Because the first 10 hours were fun, and then it kind of died down after that.
Yeah. It is interesting, though, to watch review culture, but it sounds like Spider-Man 2 is getting the attention and general reception that it deserves, with like a few outliers out there,
Yeah. I'm sure there are people that didn't like it genuinely. I'm not trying to diminish that, but for me and a lot of people that I've talked to that played it, loved it. It's their game of the year, and I can absolutely see why, because it was fantastic. It was honestly one of the best games of 2023.
I'm gonna have to check it out. Will it scare a 6-year-old? Is it too violent?
There are some freaky moments. So
like
not
Green
to get into
Goblin
spoilers.
is creepy or something.
Lizard,
alligator man.
So there's moment. It's kind of stepping into a little bit of horror. Like the mood gets into it. There's like technically a jump scare. It's not really a jump scare, but like I'm not a 6-year-old, and I don't really know.
I've seen some of the previous games, and when the alligator guy's chasing you around, it's kind of freaky a little bit. It could scare a kid.
Yeah, it could scare a kid a little bit, but it's still Spider-Man, and it's made for a wide audience, so I wouldn't be I wouldn't worry too much about it. I think you could probably enjoy it, but I don't know.
Cool. Hey, I got my my racing wheel we were talking about last week.
Nice. Yeah. How's that going?
I didn't have time to set it up this weekend because of CitizenCon. I was just like exhausted, but it does look cool. I opened it up and I'm
it
like,
looks great.
I'm excited. We'll get some racing
pretty.
going. Yeah. You might want to check out that WRC game. I don't think it's out yet, but it's like the successor to Dirt or something, which is like that crazy rally racing where you drive through a forest at like 100 miles an hour and hope you don't hit a tree.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Championship?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what rally is. Yeah.
Yeah. Looks cool. It's a different type of racing, but Looks really challenging. Like you have to know the turn callouts or you're going to die, basically.
Oh, you're going to fly off. Yeah. Those people are literally built different. The fact that they can drive around at those insane speeds with just a dude on their right being like, all right, you're going to want to turn left soon. And now. And right. Okay. Like it's mind blowing.
Yeah. And then they race on the side of a cliff. So they're like, if you don't get the turn right, we're going 100 feet down that way or 200 feet down there. You're just like, but they pack them in there, dude. They got like bubble wrap around those guys. They just like go tumbling down a hill and then they look at each other and like, you all right? It's like, yeah, I'm all right. And you're just like,
I'm all right, Steve.
You just rolled 30 times down a hill at like 50 miles an hour, dude. And you're cool with
They're built for it, but still scary.
Yeah, I can see how people would get to like Formula racing or NASCAR racing or whatever, because you're like, yeah, it's kind of a general progression and there is danger, but you don't think you're going to die. I look at rally racing and I go, I think those people are going to die.
It's crazy.
So Matt, have you heard Battlefield's back?
Battlefield's back. We talked about this last week, but I don't know how.
It was early.
How is it still going?
I actually don't know either. I mean, I have my theories. Yes.
It went higher.
I actually want to check right now.
It's at 17,000, peak 94,000. Mind blowing, dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely mind blowing.
So we talked about it a little bit last week, but for a recap for anybody who's like, what's going on? Basically, Battlefield 2042, the black sheep of the franchise at this moment, worst launch ever. Its player count tanked to like 3,000, even less. You were playing when there's 900 people online, you said.
Yep.
Game was dead, right? Like EA was trying to support it, but it was like trying to revive a dead horse. You're just like, all right, guys, good luck with that.
Yeah.
They kept with it. They kept adding content slowly, but mostly it was quality of life features, improving a lot of the gameplay mechanics and just making it something that they shouldn't be embarrassed by.
Uh-huh.
I think they got it there. They released a incredible map with the last season. One of my favorite maps for not just the game, but it's one of my favorite CQB maps in a Battlefield game. It's a very, very good map. Then they made the game free to play for the weekend, and they put the game on sale for $10. I don't know if it's still on sale. The sale might have ended, but it was a pretty long $10 sale. So anyone who liked it could buy the game for $10, basically.
And then probably word of mouth started kicking in too, right?
Yeah. And so people just got on, and we're like, everybody's like, well, free to play weekend numbers, right? It's great that it skyrocketed and hit like 102,000, 101,000 players over the weekend, but Monday rolls around and everybody's going to stop playing. Those free-to-play players are gone.
Once it's back to being cost something. Yeah, that's what I assumed.
Yeah.
And then a week later, it goes to 107,000.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like another weekend surge. It was across the week. We're hitting 97,000, 99,000 players just on regular weekdays, and you're like, then it was putting in higher numbers than Call of Duty, and you're like,
yeah,
what's happening right now, guys? I made a video about it, and I brought up a quote from the manager of the studio who took over after 2042 launched to try and fix everything. And she talked about building a lean team that could pivot as needed and fail fast and kind of like get the benefits of what indie devs have, which is like, oh, something's happening right now. We need to react to it. We need to respond, change the thing. Where big studios are like, okay, let's do that in like 8 months from now when our schedules clear up. Well, now that they got this massive player base, which I guarantee you they had no idea was coming.
No, there's no way.
They probably thought they were going to see a little surge, but the previous free-to-play weekends were like 30,000 players.
Right.
They're probably expecting something similar to that because...
Not triple that.
Yeah, because prior to launching this DLC, the player base was in a steady decline from the last DLC. It was getting pretty low.
Yeah.
So, because it went from like 7,000 concurrent to like 100,000 concurrent, which is insanity. It's true insanity. So now I'm like, well, you have the player base you want. There's probably a bunch of these people that are buying cosmetics, buying the season pass, putting a little bit of money into the game. Can you guys pivot? Can you whip up another season of content? Can you get it ready to go in another 3 months? Or is this it?
I doubt they can pivot that quickly.
Is this all she wrote for Battlefield 2042? It would be the Battlefield 5 situation all over again. Which
my guess is that they might bring another piece of content in, because I think this season is 16 weeks, right? So it's a little
almost 4 months.
Yeah. So my guess is that if they did bring anything, it would be obviously beyond that. But like maps, from what I've heard, take upwards of like half a year to like 8 months to develop, right? So that's the big content that everyone wants. Yeah, to have a couple new weapons here and there is great, but that's like the meat of a game, I feel, is maps. Like that really adds the biggest variety, and that's what changes things up, and that's what people are really looking for. And so if they want to capitalize on that, it's either they had something in the works, or we're going to have to be waiting a while for whatever to come out. And then at that point, the player base has probably already died down significantly. My hope is that we do get something, and my hope is that the player base stabilizes at something that isn't, we're not going to be at 100,000. It's going to probably die down, but hopefully it stabilizes and they can ride that momentum into the next game.
That's what I'm hoping too. But I have a hard time imagining that the next game launches anywhere before holiday 2024.
Right.
That's a pretty long time.
That is a while. I mean, it's a year.
For potentially no content or like very light content, they might relaunch some game mode stuff, which, let's be honest, the game mode that they've talked about does look kind of interesting.
Surprised we haven't gotten it yet, because it's almost Halloween and we still haven't seen it.
Yeah. Maybe, who knows? Maybe they're just waiting for a specific day or something.
Maybe.
Don't they do it on Tuesdays or something?
It could be coming out Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, we might be talking about it and it could already be out.
And it could already be out, yeah.
It could be out already. But they were getting a little flack from it. I saw there was kind of like, some people were like, yay, some people were like, nay, because COD does zombies, and this new Dark Creations something. I don't know what
it's called.
I forgot what it's called, but it's basically like their bio soldier version of a zombie type character. It seems is gonna like come out, and you're gonna have to fight these crazy zombie type things. I think it looks cool. I think it's a fun way to mix it up. Obviously, I don't want it to be a central focus for how Battlefield is designed, but it compared to all of the last seasonal content custom modes, like it's way more interesting. Like they just had ones where it was like, place this beacon in this circle. Now wait,
this is Conquest, but slightly different.
Yeah, none of it was like exciting. You're just like, you've just named it something else and changed one tiny variable, and you're like, it's new. You're like, not really, but okay. Yeah.
It's hard though to make new game modes. I appreciate them trying.
Yeah. But I'm saying is this one is very different. So I'd rather have very different than here's kind of a slight
Do you think it's going to be
twist.
AI, or do you think they're going to be players?
I think it's going to be AI.
Okay.
Do you think it would be like, what is it called? Infection, where...
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. That could be cool too. I don't know if I'm as into Infection style stuff, but you have to get the mechanics down right for Infection to be fun, I feel. It has to be fun for both sides, because if you just are like this, I run at you and I swing my melee attack button and I have no other cool abilities, well then Infection kind of sucks once you become the infected. But if you get like cool jump abilities and you're flying around the map,
fly and throw down a smoke screen, and then I hear you.
Did you ever play the Alien vs Predator games?
No, but I do know what you're referring to. The cat and mouse of it all. Yeah,
they had some very fun mechanics because they're trying to balance Marines and Predators and aliens all in the same environment.
It's got to be ridiculously challenging.
Of course it didn't balance. Like the Predator had some sort of auto lock-on weapon that was just like...
You just die.
Yeah. Oh, no, wait. The Marines had a smart gun. They had like a gauze rifle or something, and it would just detect targets, and you just pull the trigger and they'd die. It was pretty funny. But the aliens were really fun to play because they could like leap across the maps. They could run on any surface. So you're running across a bridge as a Marine, the aliens on the bottom side of the bridge. You know, it's just cool stuff. You can do all this cool stuff. And if you get a good land, you can just like bite somebody's head off right there. And it's like, it's kind of satisfying. And then you jump away and all his friends are like, shooting at you. And you like scurry into some bushes and then like ambush on the next guy. And it's like, that's one of the few games where you're kind of the pouncer that I really enjoyed, you know, or I felt like there's a significant skill curve to make it fun.
There's been other games that have, like you said, Call of Duty. I think Warzone may even have a mode right now where if you get taken out, your squad isn't eliminated from Warzone. You turn into a zombie and you can go out and attack other players and jump around. And Apex Legends has their mode where you can literally like fly through the air and leap and bound and everywhere. So it's possible that they're doing that I think you're probably right though. Now that we've seen like were they leaked screenshots? I don't know. I saw some screenshots and it's like, oh, okay, they actually are doing zombies because they have the AI technology. Yeah. I didn't think they were going to do it. I didn't think it was going to be zombies because you'd have to develop the zombies, right? Yeah. And I figured that would take a while, but
Battlefield's AI is actually quite good. I think it's one of those things that people don't give them that much credit for because for the most part, I don't really want it in my multiplayer game.
I don't want it in the multiplayer either. Yeah.
But when you have to actually look at how it performs, you're like, that's pretty good for a multiplayer AI in like a 64-player server or 128-player server. You're like, whoa, that's competent. They're moving kind of realistically. They're returning fire in a way that feels fairly competitive, but they're not too aggressive so that they're not just laser beaming you down. And they're like, see, our AI is good. And you're like, no, it just has laser beam code programmed into its aiming, right?
Laser beams.
Right. If you can get AI to feel good, I just think it's impressive what they've done with their AI. So they probably want to show that off a bit more and be like, here's our zombie AI. Like,
yeah, it could be.
Get ready to get like wave swarmed. What if they bump it up to 128, but it's like 32 versus like, was it 96 like, zombies?
That's the thing is I want it to be overwhelming, right? I want you to actually have to like, I hate it when it starts off, it's like really easy. You're taking a couple zombies here and there. And then by the end, like the first 30, like the last 30 seconds is when it gets nuts. Like, no, I want this thing to be nuts from like, make it hard. You know, I know it needs to be accessible, but I like it when it's challenging. I think
Left 4 Dead really hit that formula right, where you're making your way through a level and multiple instances through the level, the swarm comes, you know, and then you're just like, oh crap, like everybody get together, start communicating really tightly. Like if we mess this up, we're all getting eaten, you know, and like they really did that formula well. And then they throw the hero class in there to screw up all your plans, right?
And then just giant ball of zombie just explodes on your entire team and everyone flies everywhere. Yeah.
Those are good times. I'm surprised that Left 4 Dead hasn't had like an official remake.
Well, we got Back 4 Blood, which is fine. I enjoyed Back 4 Blood.
Was that the same devs that did it?
I think a lot of the devs original went to that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool.
It's a little bit more of a controversial game because a lot of people were hoping that it was going to be a Left 4 Dead 3, and it didn't really hit the same highs. But I thought it was fun. It was a good game. It's a zombie game. You know, it's whatever. It's fun.
Yeah.
Shooting zombies.
Yeah. So Matt, is a Twitch streamer, anything interesting going on in your world?
It's so good that you brought this up. It's almost as if we have a little never mind. Yes. So TwitchCon just happened, and one of the big announcements is that you can simultaneously cast on all platforms now, even if you're a partner. So if you're on Twitch and you have your partner, before you could only exclusively live stream there. But now you can do YouTube, you can do Facebook, you can do it all at once. And that really, it doesn't surprise me because it felt like it kind of was going that way. I think that they're trying to maybe...
they didn't do it because they're nice. Let's be real about that.
Yeah.
They did it because there's a bunch of competitors trying to steal all their top streamers right now.
Right. They're like, hey, you can still stream on those other platforms, but, you know, please still stream on our platform, right? Because if all of a sudden they're sniping them because of exclusivity, well, this is now going to be like, well, I could already just stream on your platform and I can stream on theirs. Like, why would I want exclusivity now? So I can kind of see why they're doing that.
Yeah.
But it's good. I think that's smart for especially smaller streamers. There really shouldn't be any reason why you're not on every single platform now.
Yeah.
If you can do it. Yeah.
Are you going to start
I don't know.
multi-streaming?
We'll see. The one thing is that it could split up your viewer base a little bit. And one of the things that is a little tricky with Twitch is if you want to have like a higher viewer count, because that's literally all it counts for discoverability in that. Like, are you hired on the directory? If not, well, you're going to have a harder time, right?
Yeah.
So if you are splitting that a little bit, it could be a little bit harder to get that discovered. But it also could bring you in a new audience, right? So if you get discovered on YouTube because of your live streams,
then they come to Twitch. Yeah.
Right. Or so.
Well, how many of your Twitch viewers do you think would be like, I prefer to watch him on YouTube? I will be switching, right? Because they have their subscriber, their timelines, right? Like they have their tiers of subscription stuff. A lot of those people aren't going to want to leave and lose that and kind of start over on a different platform. So maybe it would just be like growing a new audience elsewhere, and your current audience is still there, and now you have another audience.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And
I think there's people don't realize how much money the VOD of a successful stream can make. So like after the stream is over and YouTube just puts it out there and runs ads on it, if that stream has good engagement where people just show up and start watching for 10, 20, 30 minutes, they start promoting that stream video a lot because they're like, whatever this guy's doing in the stream is bringing eyeballs, and all of a sudden your stream just gets pushed out there in the algorithm, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, why did my stream just make tons of money? I streamed that weeks ago, but every now and then I have like a rogue stream that for whatever reason YouTube is like, this stream is amazing.
This is great. You should watch it.
Dude, I had one stream with Morphologist, who's a Star Citizen content creator. And I think we played for, I don't know, maybe 3 hours or something like that. And I just called it like Star Citizen Adventure. It wasn't a fantastic, the intro wasn't good. It was all us just trying to set up tech stuff and like get things working properly. And then we kind of went out and did some exploring, and it was fine. There was bugs, whatever. It wasn't like an over the top crazy stream. But for whatever reason, YouTube was like, the retention on it was insane. People were watching it for like an hour. I don't know why, but they just,
that's the thing about live streams.
Insane views. And all of a sudden I'm like, why is this thing making so much money and getting me so many views? It was just a random live stream that I decided to do one day.
The algorithm.
I know, dude. I know. Well, yeah, if you come over to YouTube, you got it. You're slave to the algorithm again. I mean, you kind of are on Twitch to an extent, but not as hard as YouTube. YouTube is very algorithmy.
It really is.
Yeah.
Do ads run during the live stream?
I tend to turn them off. But can you like? Because on Twitch, what I do, is that I'll wait for like each hour. I'll wait for a moment in like where we have some downtime. So like in SpiderMan, right? You can do that on YouTube.
You've got to travel from point A to point B. It's like, well, I'm going to run my ad break right now because, help support the channel, and you're not literally missing out on anything. Yeah. Auto ads, I don't like for live streaming. I think that's awful because like, especially with SpiderMan, imagine you're watching like a huge climactic moment and an ad plays. Like that sucks, right? So I wouldn't want that to happen. So you can do them manually though?
You have all the options. So you can turn them off, run no ads, and then just have YouTube auto place ads after the stream so that you can have your ad placement when people watch it back as a VOD. You can manually insert the ads during the stream and then either use that ad placement for the VOD as well, or have YouTube just auto calculate the ads. Or you can just let it automatically. There's supposed to be a smart ad placement where it can somehow read user engagement at different times and figure out when to place it. But who knows how that works.
Okay.
So yeah, they have lots of options there, which is nice.
Cool.
I can't speak to the overall features of YouTube streaming as a platform. I know the quality is good, but it's just a different platform. You might have to structure your stream a little bit. Like maybe it would make sense to edit off the intro of your stream, right? Because you have a little bit of like warm up time, right? Where it's like you sitting in your chair reading your book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like
I don't think that would be that bad.
No, but YouTube might give you the tools to like cut the front off.
Oh, and just start the.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
because VODs are based on retention, right? So if people get into your video and they're like, oh, do I have to like find where it starts? That's going to hurt the retention metric. Then they don't promote your VOD as much.
It's just watch the video.
I know, but believe
Come
me,
on,
I wish I didn't have to do all this stuff, but it's all algorithm stuff nowadays.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I hear you.
It's a science, man. You screw up the algorithm, and YouTube's just like, your video dies, man. Sorry.
So, long story short, it's good for Twitch. It's good for content creators. This is something that should have been the case a long time ago, and it's great to see. So I think Twitch is doing some things that are right, and I want to congratulate them when they do it. And here we are.
It's nice to see something good happening on the platform for a change, because it feels like years and years of them being like,
they've got a new CEO now.
Oh.
And he seems to be like a little bit more down to earth. And so keep my fingers crossed that that's indicative of positive things in the future.
That's really good. A lot of new CEOs these days, man. New Blizzard CEO coming up soon. New Unity CEO. New Twitch CEO. It's so weird that we're getting new CEOs. I can't imagine
crazy.
why.
Yeah. Crazy,
man. Well, that's good. I'm excited to see if you start streaming on YouTube. I can send you people. We can start sending people viewers, man.
Okay. Like rating, okay.
Yeah. That is, I will say that's one thing that I don't like as much in YouTube is you have to pre-approve like a channel that you want to rate.
For rating.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird system. It's supposed to be more secure so that people can't abuse it or something, but I don't know. I don't know if I like it better. I like just being able to be like, who's streaming right now?
Who's on? Yeah. Neat.
Yeah. So I haven't done anything else this week. What is Endless Dungeon, Matt?
I mean, I play all the games, so I'm down to talk about all the games. Endless Dungeon is a brand new, I believe it's 1.0 update. I think it just came out. I think it's feature complete, and it's kind of like Hades, where it's top down and it's roguelike and you go into a place. But the difference to it is it's like a tower defense too. So you have different generators. There's 3 different resources. You've got food, you have science, and then engineering or industry, I think is what it's called. Yeah. One of them allows you to research new turrets. So you'll find like a node that allows you to research turrets. You have another one that allows you to actually put the turrets down. So that's your resource for that. And the other one is for your character's upgrades. You have bunch of different characters. Some are going to be DPS. There's like tanks, sort of healer-esque or support characters, and it's very co-op focused. You basically need to play this game in co-op to really enjoy it.
That's really cool. I could see myself losing hours to this, dude. Oh my God, this looks fun and addicting.
Yeah. It's cool. And what I liked about it is that because it's so team-oriented, and you have these, it's like a tower defense at the same time. You really have to manage your resources. Like, well, we could spend a lot on a couple of turrets right here to defend this area and defend I think it was called like the crystal. You have to make sure that doesn't die, and you have to make sure you don't die. That's that'll end the game, right? If either you or the crystal gets taken out. So you can put those resources down and defend it, or you can save it for later on. Like you can have rounds, and you can like to get to the very end can take hours, right?
Yeah.
It can take a while. And so those resources by the end could be very valuable, and you might want to hold on to them.
So it's really about learning when to like cash in, basically. It's like,
yeah, it can be. Yeah. You don't want to be too frugal, but you also don't want to just overindulge early on, because then that can screw you up later on. It's cool.
I am impressed by the continuation and evolution of the tower defense genres, because I've lost hours to all the dumb little early tower defense games, and then the evolutions, and then this is like a cool co-op looking thing with all kinds of fun economy stuff built into it. Like, it looks cool, man. Like, yeah.
The one thing that I will say is that I could see it getting a little repetitive, because
they always do. Yeah.
Yeah. Each level is unique, and there's multiple levels. So there's you go deeper and deeper in this like tower thing, right? You just keep going down, down, down. And then the first one has 3 different options that can lead to other 3 options, which can lead to 3 other options. And then I think there's a final core at the end. Yeah. So like there's a lot of variance on how you can, if you want a different experience, there's actually bosses that you fight. So there's different boss battles and things. So there is variety, but there isn't for your actual character. I found that there wasn't a lot of variance, and like you can upgrade your character. So like in Hades, you can get some really cool upgrades, and that can actually like change your playstyle a bit. And this, it's like you do a little bit more damage, or you like reload a little bit faster.
So that's how it's a roguelike, is they just change it a little bit, but not a lot?
No, well, roguelike just means that when you die, you like that's it. You lose all progress. Okay. But I think roguelite is that you carry some progress over in the sense where you get like minerals, or you get like a resource, and that resource allows you to then upgrade your character. So the next time you go in, you're slightly more powerful, and you can use the knowledge of your previous runs plus that power. I'm
used to the genre kind of giving you, so you keep replaying it, right? You die, you didn't make it. Okay, let's try again. But you get different options. Like in Hades, I like that you get all these different ways, right? In Hades, you can't necessarily try the exact same thing you did before, because you just might not get the same abilities, right? Before you were lightning sword guy, and this time you're like, well, I'm going to get the sword again. You're like, well, I didn't find any lightning power. Well, now I'm I don't know, bomb sword guy or whatever it is. And
that's similar to this too. Yeah. Because you don't know what weapons you're going to get when you're inside. That is also true here, but it doesn't feel as fleshed out as something like Hades really has set the bar very high.
Yeah. Is Hades 2 out yet? They announced it. Yeah.
They've announced it. It's going to be an early access, so it's not going to be a 1.0 or anything, but yeah, it's not out yet.
Okay.
I can't wait, because the first game was that phenomenal.
So good. Yeah.
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 So it's good. I liked Endless Dungeon. I enjoyed my time, but I could also see where people could find it to be a bit repetitive. But I think it'd be way more fun with friends, because I played with a bunch of randos, and that was fun. It was cool, but I think it'd just be a lot more enjoyable to play with buddies and be like, okay, we're going to really set up our turrets and making call outs and moving around the map.
I find what always turns me off to the tower defense games eventually, like I always love them, like at the start, when you're like trying to figure out your strategies, is that there's usually like 1 or 2 optimal strategies, and then you just kind of always end up going that route at the
same ones.
And then you're like, okay, let's just do the thing that worked, that works. And then it's always the same thing. Where when you mentioned that it was a roguelike, I was like, okay, well, now you can't do the same thing every time, but
you can't.
Okay.
So remember how I said you need to be able to, you have to research your turrets. So you will go to a station, and there'll be 3 different options and 3 different turrets that you can get. And all of them will be, and it's randomized. So you might not get that cool setup that you had before. You have to adapt. So there is that in terms of variance.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I think it's good. I think it's solid.
Did I check it out?
I mean, if you want, I'm not your dad.
I'm probably going to look at Forza first, man.
You should. Forza with your wheel.
Yeah. I have been playing a little bit with my VR, my new Oculus, man. Was I talking about VTOL VR last week? I don't know if I was.
A little bit. I think so, yeah.
A little bit of VTOL VR. Okay, yeah. I've been trying FPS games in VR too. It's very interesting. I don't know if I'm still yet sold on the whole concept yet, but it's like it's almost tangible. It's right there, and I'm like, if this just had a little bit more of that and a little bit more of this, I do feel my body getting less sick when I play, which is
that's good.
Good. It's like I'm adapting. My brain's like, oh, this old thing again, and I put it on, and then I go, oh, okay, I'm not feeling quite as sick as I was last time. You have to get your
VR legs.
Yeah, I hate that that's an entry requirement for the experience, though, because you put it on, you get sick to your stomach. You're like, well, I'm never putting that on again.
Yeah, your body inherently wants to avoid the thing that makes it feel bad.
Yeah. So I wonder how many people just stop there.
Tons.
And right. And some people, I don't know where I am in the spectrum of motion sickness, right? I think it's kind of a spectrum. Some people don't have it. Some people are super motion sick, and I think some people are average. I'm probably average, but if somebody's super motion sick, it's like, it's a no-go, right? They're like, no, I would never do that.
This is impossible.
Yeah. So it's hard to see it ever becoming mainstream on the level of other stuff, because you pick up an Xbox controller. Well, anyone can pick up an Xbox controller, right? There's games for everybody on Xbox. Anybody can try it out and have fun with it, and you're not going to get sick playing a tower defense game, right? Like,
right.
You just find the game that you like. But VR is sort of, it's a little trickier because you can get motion sick in almost all VR games. But the flying ones were cool, man. I'm impressed with how they handle some of it and how much I've been learning about modern jet combat targeting systems and stuff.
Are you using your joysticks?
No. So it's pretty cool. I didn't think that this would work, but you get your two little handheld wands or whatever, and then you kind of find a resting spot like on your lap or something. So you're not holding your hands up like an idiot, and just be like, my arms T-Rex. Are tired. Yeah. So you find a resting spot, and then you reach around in your cockpit and you control your MFDs.
I'm sorry. You reach around on your cockpit? Keep going.
Nice. I get that. It's funny.
Yeah.
So you do a reach around on your cockpit, Matt, and then you hit the buttons on the MFDs, and basically it gives you full jet fighter like interactivity, and you're like manipulating the little cameras and screens and targeting things, and then you can like launch a missile based on real targeting systems. It just feels like you're really in control. And then the sticks do count as your throttle on the left and then positional on the right. And it works surprisingly well. And because you have that depth perception and a real sense of speed because it's VR, I feel like my ability to plan a turn or turn into something that might be a more complex maneuver is a little bit more precise because I can judge distance and speed more accurately with the VR headset on.
Yeah.
And you can go like this. You can look behind yourself and
you can
see a missile coming in and know which way to turn.
That's wild.
And like try and dodge it.
That's wild. Missile.
Yeah, basically.
I played Ace Combat, and it was like missile, just 24 missile.
Yeah. I want to try Ace Combat, but it looks insane. It looks
insane.
So insane. I'm like, this game looks neat, and then all of a sudden it's like full anime scenes, and I'm like, what's happening right now?
100%. It gets bonkers. Yeah.
It's such a weird mashing of worlds where I'm like, I like F-18s and like jet fighters, and then they're like, what about anime guys shooting laser beams? I'm like, that's weird. I mean, I like that, but I don't know if I like
fun,
it with my Maybe I'll try the next one. Yeah, I don't know, man. It might irk me, but
I'm glad you're feeling better about it.
Yeah, I'm continuing down the VR path. I want to try some of the racing in VR, but we'll see. And
now you got the wheel too, so
I know.
Put two and two together.
Well, I've been watching videos on these guys with these sim setups. I've been watching videos about guys, Matt. And guys that spend like 10, 15 grand on like a racing sim setup, and you're like, well, where's that money go? And then they've got all these hydraulic pistons and stuff that like lift their chairs up, and they're like racing, and they're like getting thrown around. They're like you're like, oh, that's cool. They go off the road.
It's cool, but I don't know.
One guy, some dude in Russia built his own custom thing. He built it himself. He like programmed every little aspect of it. And this guy came over to test it out who's like a big sim enthusiast and was just like, this is the best sim thing I've ever tried.
Ever seen.
And he was trying to explain it in a way, but he was like, I can feel the rear tires slipping as I go around a turn in this because of like how the guy set it up with like all these extra little...
Wow.
I don't know what it was, but he was like, this is wild. I know exactly when to like ease off or when exactly I'm going to lose grip on this because of like this extra stuff he added. And I was like, oh, sounds really cool. I mean, I'm not at that level, I'm just like, I'm still keyboard and mouse practically, but it looks cool. I'm trying to hold myself back.
When are we going to see that making its way into your man cave?
Matt, I'll go dedicated race streamer with you if you go dedicated race streamer with me. Okay.
let's drop all the money.
You just say the word, Matt, and we're gonna completely reinvent our entire careers and channels, and we'll just be like, we'll go pro with racing.
Race streamers, yeah.
Yeah. I wish those guys did better because I was watching a dude that was like world record, you know, it's like, watch me set the world record in like rally racing. And I was like, that was cool. And it's like 30,000 views on YouTube. I'm like, oh, like that should be a million views.
It's a lot more niche. It's significantly more niche.
When the best player in the world is like not that well recognized, you're like, oh, that's sad. Because racing is really cool. I don't know why sim racing isn't bigger. Maybe it will get bigger. I feel like racing's on the way up right now in terms of popularity.
It's becoming more popular. Yeah, for sure.
There's the Netflix Formula show, I think, really brought Formula anyway over to the US a bit more, where before it's IndyCar and NASCAR over here, and Formula is like all around the world, you know. It's like they try and do it like soccer, where they're like, we'll go to every country and race in every country.
Yeah. No, I've a lot more people seem to be talking about it.
Yeah, so you just let me know and we'll spend 10, 15 grand maybe on our super
copious amounts of money. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
We need the wraparound displays. Okay.
Oh, of course.
3 monitors that are 45 100%. Inches curved.
I'm just going to make it. It's going to be a pod, actually. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a car frame, and then that's going to be the.
People
and
do
then
that.
Like all the. I know.
Yeah.
And then the windows are screens.
Yeah.
It's freaking madness, dude.
Yeah, there's one from a YouTuber called Noobifier who does crazy sim stuff, and he got this new one in where, like, I swear the seat is like 3 feet off the ground, and there's like 8 pistons all around it, and it's like you got to climb into it with a step stool or something. It looks like he's gonna blast off. It just looks insane. I'm like, how much? I don't want to know how much this was. It comes in a crate, you know, the size of like a giraffe or something. You know, you're like, it's just massive.
That's awesome.
It does look cool. I start watering at the mouth, you know, when I see that kind of gear. I'm like, I need it. I need to just drop tons of money on something that I'm going to do like once a week.
Yeah. But it's, you know, it's a passion project, right, honey?
Yeah. I was showing Natalie, my wife, a clip from the Star Citizen stream because the stream had ended and there was nowhere to watch it other than my stream because I hadn't re-uploaded the stuff on YouTube yet or whatever. So I was just showing her a little clip of the server meshing tech because I was like, this is really cool. Like, this is the future of gaming, you know? And she entertains me for a few minutes before she's just like,
she pats you on the head.
Yeah, she's like, that's nice, honey. But during that clip, because I was co-hosting with Salty Mike and we were just chatting about stuff, and it wasn't server meshing, it was the intro clip, and they show the Carrack flying by, and I go, oh, that was the first really expensive ship that I bought in the game. And my wife's like, how much was it? I was like, I don't know, I don't remember.
I don't remember.
When I say really expensive, it was probably like $5 or something like that.
How much was it?
It's like $400, Matt.
Oh, a little embarrassed, maybe slightly.
Oh, I'm not embarrassed. I was terrified. I was like, she's gonna Google it, and then it's gonna be a thing, you know.
Then I'm smack in the back of the head. What are you doing with our money?
I know. I'm like taking our kids' college funds, man. Like, why can't Jeffrey go to college? Well, it's because we invested in Star Citizen. Internet spaceships, honey. They're really cool.
Yeah. Speaking of water in the mouth, this is not actually a very good transition. I watched a video about Dragon's Dogma 2. You ever hear about Dragon's Dogma?
No.
So Dragon's Dogma, I never played the original game, and I probably should based off of this video. You know the YouTube creator Force Gaming?
Yeah.
You may have heard of him.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy. He made a video about why he's excited, and now I'm excited, and I want to share it with you guys because it looks really cool. It looks like it's going to be trying to capture a lot of the exploration discovery of like older school or just like of RPGs in general. But one of the things that I thought was interesting is that your character's physicality has an impact on the gameplay. So if you make like a big muscly man,
so
you're
hang
gonna
on,
have,
this is an RPG.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an RPG. Okay, let me set the stage. It's an RPG. You play as a character, and there's dragons. That's
Okay.
GG.
Okay.
So
I was like, is this? I have no idea. Is it a racing game?
Yeah. Sorry, it's a racing game. Yeah, I should have done a better job
with dragons.
So
yeah,
it's an RPG, fantasy, dragon, magic, all that good stuff, right?
Yeah. These graphics look really good.
Yeah, it looks good graphically. But what I thought was cool is that your physicality matters. So if you choose a big meaty guy, you're going to be stronger. You can throw things further, but you're not going to be able to get into small like holes or different obstacles, and you're not going to have as much stamina. If you're small, you'll be quick and agile, but you won't be as powerful. And then you have to incorporate your different classes, which will have different attributes as well. And then I like the idea of your character not just simply being cosmetic, right? I think it's really cool to have like, that's a small guy. He's going to have better or different gameplay implications because of that. I think that's neat.
And so
what
it does it more
really cool,
dynamically. Is that what you're saying? So like, it's not like you pick I'm heavy class and now I get to do all heavy class stuff.
So I think what you could do is you could have a small character who plays a warrior style class and has that kind of gameplay. So you won't hit as hard, but you might be more agile because of it. Or you can just go big and brawny and you can do that too. So it's just another way of like, I'm sure I don't know all the stat allocation. That'll probably be later explained. But it's just neat to have your physicality having more than just cosmetics. What I also thought was really neat is the boss battles and the enemies you fight. In the original, you could climb onto them, right? So you could climb onto a griffin and stab it in the back, right? Which is cool in of itself.
Yeah, I'm seeing the griffin in the screenshots. It looks dope.
In this game, apparently, because things are... It's they're always trying to push the boundaries. They're always trying to make it feel more real.
You can go inside of it and cut it from the inside.
I mean, maybe that'll happen. But let's say the griffin is worried that it's going to lose. So you jump onto it and then it starts to fly away. It could take you then to its like lair. Where it could potentially have like help or like loot and stuff like that.
That's
so if you
really cool.
Right. So if you successfully drop it and it's, whatever, but the thing is like, you now might be separated from the rest of your party because you have AI companions.
Yeah. What do
so
they do?
It could be really risky. So the thing is that like, let's say it bucks you off, right? If it bucks you off and you're really high, you could fall down, but your AI can run over and like grab you I know.
What?
You won't take as much
Matt,
fall damage.
I'm not catching you if you're falling 300 feet off of a
LevelCap.
griffin.
It's called a trust fall, okay?
We both die if that
We probably
happens.
would both. Yeah, probably would both die. So you can fall, they can grab you. That's awesome, right? That's really cool. I didn't expect that your AI was going to be able to perform something like that. You could be attacking a troll and you could go for their legs and cause them to trip, and they can trip on like there's like a ravine, right? They can fall over the ravine. They will then try to catch themselves on the other side, and you can walk on their back to the other side.
This game sounds way too cool, dude.
Yeah, I know. It does sound really cool.
It's sort
That's
of
what I'm
like,
talking about.
It reminds me a little bit of like Ender's Game, where like he fights the dragon or the giant in that fantasy world. He's playing a video game in the future, but all this dynamic stuff happens.
We're there now.
We're there now. We've made it. We've made it to the future tech gaming. That sounds really interesting. I like the idea of an animal taking you somewhere else, and you're like, well, I was going over there, but now I'm in Mordor, and I have to like, this is my adventure now.
Right.
Getting out of Mordor or whatever. What is the deal with I'm looking at the images of the game, and there's like an almost hot chick, but she's got demon eyes.
I have no idea. I don't immediately just look at the hot chick with demon eyes.
I mean, it's terrifying, Matt. It's like
Dragon's Dogma 2, and then I hit on images. Like where
yeah. You see what I'm saying?
The Kotaku thing? Yeah,
well, she's in lots of images. She's freaking me out, man. Is she the main bad guy or something?
I have no idea.
Man.
She's very freaky looking. Yes.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you're like looking from the feet up. You're like, that's nice. Okay, you get to the layout, very nice. I like it. You get to the midsection, very nice. You get to the face, you go, dear God,
dear God. I mean, she is a little pale. Yeah, I don't know anything about her. No, okay. I don't know all the ins and outs of the game. But the thing I'm probably most excited about is that the sense that I was getting from this video that I saw from Force, and the little bit of that I did see, is that it's really the sense of exploration. One of the reasons why I loved Elden Ring was going into or exploring around, finding a hole in the ground, and being like, I wonder where that goes.
And all of a sudden, holes in the ground, Matt. Okay, the big guy can't fit in the hole in the ground. The little guy can fit in the hole in the ground. You're excited about going in the hole in the ground. You just like holes in the ground.
It's just an example. Okay, you find I don't know, a cave in the mountainside. You go into the cave, and then all of a sudden,
it's not a hole in the ground. It's a cave in the side of a mountain, entirely different. I'm sorry. You just a lot of hole analogies here, Yeah, it's funny. Continue.
You done?
Yeah.
You done?
Yeah.
You ruined my thunder here.
No, I like it.
So you go down a path in the mountain that you discover. There we go. You got your main trail. You kind of discover this, like,
nothing like a hole.
I'm gonna go in the woods, and then there's this path, and that path leads to there's like a village, and the village is under attack. Like, that sense of exploration is what I love, and if they can weave that in and have like some fun story there, and like I love that about RPGs where it's not necessarily just about the main story. It's about creating almost your own story where you discover it. Like, and that's what I really loved about Elden Ring, was that sense of discovery, and then the nice reward with either like a big boss or an item or something. So I'm hoping that they can make it work, because it looks neat.
That's cool, man. It's on my radar now too. I'm gonna read up on it a little bit, because that does sound quite interesting. Well, sir, I mean, I could talk about Star Citizen for another, couple hours, but...
And I could talk apparently about holes for...
whole fantasy world holes, man. I like your examples, dude. You're like, okay, so like you're a big guy and you can't go in the hole in the ground. But if you're a little guy, you can go in the hole in the ground. Why do we want to go in the hole in the ground, Matt?
That's the whole explanation, right? If you're big, you can't get through... Small, I think I said small areas, like small, whatever. You know what? We're moving on. End the goddamn podcast, LevelCap. End it now.
Let's wrap it up here. People on Patreon, thank you for dropping by the live stream. If you're not subscribed on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, download the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, whatever you like to listen to us on. And if you want to support us, join us on Patreon. You get to watch us live. You get to see all the things that we cut out before we cut them out. And believe me, there's a lot of things we cut out of this one, man. Whew. It got crazy. But thank you guys for watching the podcast. We hope you enjoy it. We enjoy making it. Matt, closing wisdom?
Closing wisdom. No, I have nothing. I was going to say something about a hole, but that just feels inappropriate. So no.
I like holes is what you meant to say.
Curiosity killed the cat. We'll go with that one.
Yeah. All right. Bye guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. See you next time.
Bye-bye.